Benjamin Fletcher. Mr. Kyle Levine. That was exciting. Mr. Ken Persinger. Mr. Doug Tate. Miss Monica Pina. Miss Catherine Isabel. And last but not least, the man of your dreams and mine, Mr. Robert Englund. Okay, everybody, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have everybody do a little bit of discussion, and then we're going to turn it over to you all. And I ask you, please don't ask what their favorite color is, or anything like that, because you're better than that.
Purple. Blood red.
I'm going to go over here. And first, my question for all of you, because I want to know this for each of you. What was it that came to your mind when you realized this was actually going to happen? And when you got the script, what did you think? I mean, did you ever think this would actually happen? And how excited were you?
Well, I'm from the theater.
No, this had been gestating since the original film. And I get a little, my hackles get raised when people accuse us of being exploitative, because films like this and projects like this have been going on since the 30s, with Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and the comics with Superman and Batman throwing down. It's always been a kind of male adolescent question, not to sound chauvinistic, but I think it was within days after I did the first Nightmare on Elm Street that I was cornered in a pub in Los Angeles, and somebody said, "So dude, like what would happen if you and Jason met in Natty?" You know, and so it was a long gestating project, and I was just happy that we found Ronnie. You know, because Ronnie brought this kind of, Ronnie, there was a sense of fun that we needed to, inject in Freddy versus Jason. And I don't know whether that's Hong Kong school, you guys, or the fact that he'd also spent some time, in the genre business in Australia, or his baptism by fire with Bride of Chucky. But Ronnie was the right guy, so that's what I was happy that we finally found the director to kind of match the fun of the project. I mean, it is, after all, called Freddy versus Jason.
I like a woman.
I got you. Okay. All right. Well, when you asked if this is going to happen, I didn't know if you meant like this being a convention, because I didn't know this was going to happen either. So I didn't know if you were going to do the movie, but can I just ask you a question, Robert? Since you were saying, you said that it took like a billion years, almost directly after maybe the first Nightmare on Elm Street. How long, when Ronnie got involved, how long was that going on before maybe you got? How long was that going on before I could know about the Freddy versus Jason process where I came in, which was late in the game?
I would say they were talking about it since '85.
Oh, wow.
Sean Cunningham worked on the original Nightmare. He did bail Wes out with some second unit direction towards the end. We run out of money. So that's how long I know they were talking about. It's one of the, it's like Forrest Gump. It's one of those projects. Forrest Gump, 20 years, I think, to develop it. And it was Lily Zanuck. With a last name like that, you'd think it would have been done quicker.
So anyway, when I read the script, I told Robert this, I know it was the last day of shooting, that I said, when I was a little girl, I saw Nightmare on Elm Street, and it was the scariest movie I've ever seen, and I hated you. And I said, even when we were on set, and I saw you getting your makeup put on every day, and I knew it was prosthetics, and I knew it wasn't real, I still hated you, and I was still scared of you, and I'm only telling you this because it's the last day, and I know that I'll be on a flight in a couple of hours, and I'll be out of here. But anyway, I remember getting the script, and just because of those reasons, being too afraid to even read it, because I knew Freddy Krueger was one of the stars, and I knew that they had interest in me for the lead, for Laurie. So I had to read it, and I couldn't sleep for about a week or two after having read it. And when I auditioned for Ronnie, I think it was a scene with my father at the top of the staircase, where I'm talking about Weston Hills and how my boyfriend Bill had been away there and all this stuff that I didn't know. Long story short, I did this whole scene, and I thought I was pretty good. But Ronnie didn't care much about that, and he just was like, okay, good, whatever. Here's what I want you to do. Scream as loud as you can for as long as you possibly can. And I said, that's it? And he was like, yes. And so I did. And then I basically was cast out of the room just because I had a good scream. That's my story. I thought maybe I should educate myself and watch a Freddy Krueger movie. Because I am a giant chicken, and up until that point I've managed to avoid all Freddy and Jason movies. So I watched my first Freddy movie on set of Freddy vs. Jason going, holy fuck. Now I have to go outside and run around an abandoned mental institution. And that's what happens. God.
Remike's at my face, thanks. I actually had auditioned for the role like 4 or 5 times. I came back, and then they checked my availability for the dates, and then I didn't hear from him for weeks. And then coming to know Ken, he told me that he came in for the stunt coordinator job, and Ronnie took one look at him and said, dude, you're a perfect Jason. And I come to find out that he got it, obviously, and then I said, ah, shit. And then when they came back to do a reshoot in LA, because they shot the film in Canada, I'm from LA, Ken's from Canada, they called me up and I did it. And it was awesome to be a part of it, but I was a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan, so working with Robert Englund was my dream. Jason's iconic, but Freddy was the man to me, so that was cool. Like I said, I went in for the stunt coordinating job, so I was really surprised when they asked me to audition for it, and which was wearing a mask, doing a close-up on my eye while they read the opening scene, and then had to walk around the room. And then I found out later that I got the job, and I remember, I think the thing that stands out to me most was walking on the set the first time going to the makeup trailer, and Robert was there getting his makeup on, and he goes, Ken, we're going to be seeing each other now for the rest of our lives. 10 years later, we see each other twice this year. It's great.
A long week in Amsterdam.
Yes, it was.
What was the question? So long. I was set to go into a really shitty theater school program, and then I got this audition, and Ronnie was like, yeah. So I got the part, and thankfully I didn't end up in that really awful, really shitty theater program, and I had a good time, and now I'm here.
So it's just like how we were, like how.
Well,
Mine was a joke. Just an idiot.
Oh, like the jets and yeah. So it's so cool. Like Robert will tell you about like the psychological like versus the physical. You know, it's kind of like a sort of marriage. It's like it's match made in heaven. But yeah, I'm a Freddy fan like from way back. Never saw Jason. It's more interesting. Freddy's got so much this guy character. You know, he's funny. And he's scary. And like 5 years I couldn't sleep. Originally, I think my character was Hispanic, so I auditioned for your role.
And I auditioned for his role. First, I did.
I auditioned for Freddy. Whatever, the stunt coordinator job. I wish I had a cool story. I'm an actor. I've been an actor my whole life. Like, I got some sides that are like Tuesday at 2. You're like, all right. I never met Ronnie before showing up in Vancouver and meeting everybody, and yeah, it's a nice exciting job, I guess. Like this whole time I was like, I'm gonna concoct a really crazy story.
Not too often you'll be talking about it 10 years later.
Yeah, that is odd though. That is odd. Yeah, talk about a part 10 years afterwards. It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, mine was got the sides, did an audition on tape in LA. I remember practicing for it in my backyard. It was good. It was really good. I was running the scene, and I don't know if you guys remember the original script, but I had a lot of material in it. There was a really deep monologue that I had. I shit you not. So that did not make it to the final cut. I do a lot of this. And then I die and shit. So, yeah, and I'm pretty sure they hired me because I'm Canadian, and so I work for their tax incentives. I'm like a ginger charity case. So you can cry for me.
Okay, so everybody, we have a mic right there, and I invite you to ask questions of this wonderful group of people. So step on up if you have questions to the Freddy vs. Jason team. Don't be shy. Look how many of you there are. Come on.
This question is for Robert. You're kind of like a film historian. You've got a lot of film history. Freddy vs. Jason could be looked at as the high point of each of the respective franchises. And after the movie, each one had a reboot that really didn't reboot anything. So how do you see it after 10 years? How do you look back on it, and how do you see that the film fits in with the horror genre itself?
Well, Wes Craven and Sam Raimi are sort of responsible for the crossover into not only horror and comedy, but the deconstructed horror between Evil Dead and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 7, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and our friend Jamie Kennedy, who's in the next room here, the Scream films. Wes was really one of the first ones to deconstruct horror and kind of send it back to you guys with a Valentine. Freddy vs. Jason for me was we wanted to have fun with Part 6, Freddy's Dead. We sort of envisioned it as a Warner Brothers cartoon, and with a little bit, little Chuck Jones edge to it. And I think we were more successful in a more serious way with Freddy vs. Jason. As I said earlier, there's a sense of fun to it. I have to say something now, apart from that question, because I just want to get this off my chest before all the questions start coming fast and furious. It's the 10-year reunion. 10 years ago, I was in a hot tub with Monica, a Navy SEAL, Ken Kersinger, and Jason Ritter between takes in that lake. We had to remember that goddamn lake. We had to work at Crystal Lake in Vancouver. September 14th, you can walk around with your shirt off. September 16th, this curtain comes down, and there's snowflakes up there, and parts of your body go up inside of you to live. poor Monica was not allowed a wetsuit, you know. Ronnie had a crush on her. But I just want to say how fun it is for my wife Nancy and I to be at home, because this is a really, really gifted crew sitting next to me. And you know, I'm getting to be an old dog now. I like my leftover Chinese food, and I like my on-demand, you know, and my Netflix. And I love flipping around and seeing Monica Keena breaking hearts in an indie film or on Entourage. And I love finding this beauty next to me, you know, Robin Banks, you know, Prime Time, and Mr. Brendan Fletcher over here is just bloody, excuse me, effing extraordinary on The Killing. And if you're not all watching him, run up there, Pimp. You're not watching him on The Killing, it's great. And of course, Chris Marquette, you know, is on every other show that you've ever seen. And I just want you to know that I feel now that in a kind of postscript view of our project, I realize now more than ever what a really talented group of people were assembled, and whether it was the casting people or Ronnie or serendipity, you know, I think we all kind of have to ride this old dog for a while, because it's really risen. The stock on this movie has really risen in the last couple of years. So next question.
What was the craziest thing you guys seen happen on the set? Just for all of you guys.
Monica Keena's breast popped out at one point. I didn't get to see it, but she was.
Wait, but what just happened? I was just saying that was so sweet. I love you, Robert. And then I came
It
up.
was not so sweet. I didn't see it, but she was adamant that I did. She was very upset. She was like, "You saw my breast." I was like, "I didn't see your breast." She was like, "I saw it! Oh my God, I saw it!" I mean, she's part of this crazy evidence. So that.
When was it? When was it? I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Oh,
I don't
September,
remember.
October.
I don't remember that at all. Really?
There you go.
Oh, well, okay. Wow. Was it great for you?
Missed it.
Oh, you didn't see it. Well,
I have an addendum to that. I'm trying to remember who was. I think Ken was there. Ken and I were both getting makeup on. We'd come in early, and they had been doing all of this fire on the lake. The lake, Crystal Lake, was was catching on fire, and there had been this residue of petroleum on the top of the lake. So Ken and I are in there one day, you know, and I think we both at the Sutton, we both had an Irish whiskey, and we'd driven out to the lake, and they're putting the glue on Ken, and they're putting the glue on me, and we're sitting there shooting the shit, and we hear kaboom! And literally, the petroleum had all pooled and gone under our fake Crystal Lake pier and exploded. And I got to the door with the makeup gal, and there was like a mini mushroom cloud over Vancouver. And I think there was one, and then there was a teamster out there, you know, taking a piss off the pier and pitched his cigarette into the lake, and it exploded. And all I could think of was, there, for the grace of God, goes Freddy and Jason. We were in that water that night, I think. You could just see some Navy SEAL, you know, with a big lighter.
My question is for everyone. When you first saw the script and heard the name of the movie, who did you think was going to be the winner between Freddy and Jason?
Rapid fire, here we go.
The one with the back end.
Freddy.
Jason.
Freddy.
Right.
Yeah, Freddy.
It's a landslide.
Good guessing, there you go.
Have any of you guys ever watched any of the parodies that popped up online, like the 30-second bunnies version of Freddy vs. Jason?
Isn't there a porn version out there?
Ken, what was your favorite Freddy kill? And Robert, what was your favorite Jason kill?
Well, you know, it's it's kind of a draw, although there's less of me left than there is of Jason. You know, but it wasn't a favorite kill so much as, you know, Ken's, I felt in, you know, really good hands with Ken, because I was an old dog when I made that movie, and I had a lot of stunt injuries, and Ken's a terrific stuntman and stunt coordinator and actor. And so I felt really relaxed, but little me, I'm on this set once, and they've done my side of the scene with all the walls and the building behind me on fire. And I got through it, and I'm like just spritzing inside that latex, that foam latex. But my part's done, so now I'm off camera, and now it's Ken's turn. And it's this forced perspective wall, and they've got all of the little flame bars on the floor, and outside on the back they've got more flame bars, and they've got accelerant everywhere. And Ken gets to pivot really slow, and he pulls out his machete, and he starts this really cool Ken Kersinger, John Wayne walk at me. You know, and he's taking his time, he's having his moment, he's Jason, he's coming at the camera, and I look at Ken, and his shoulders are smoking. And then the top of the mask is smoking. And I'm behind the camera and I'm going, you know, like, Ken's, he's in it now. Now he's brandishing the machete, you know, taking his time, looking through that mask. And I felt like I kind of like called a cut, because a second later, literally, that back wall went up. It had overheated during the last 6 or 7 takes they'd done. Somebody turned up the flame bars outside too high. But I just remember that I just was feeling like, you know, we're not going to lose anybody here. But we came close to losing Jason for a second there, because we were like 8 takes on my side down, and we were like 3 or 4 on your side.
We were getting wigs melting on stunt people, or it was starting to wilt anyway. It was very, very hot in there. But that sequence, I think, just came out so well. I don't know if you guys remember when I walked out the front door and the thing starts to collapse. Well, that hit me in the head. and then the scene with Robert and I going through, you know, putting him through the window, smooshing him down the wall. I thought that looked great. So, yeah, I think that was a great sequence.
I want to say to all of you, thank you for actually delivering on a movie everybody waited 20 years to see. You all did a fantastic job.
Don't thank all of those kids. Some of them weren't even born in '84.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is, you got like the refined actor, you got the up-and-comers, you got the guys who are just trying their balls off to be Jason, and the guy who is Jason. And the guy from Christmas Story. The guy from A Christmas Story who's actually probably creepier in his scene than everybody in the whole movie somehow. That bathroom scene was sweet. Anyway, my question is specifically for you, Robert. Freddy versus Jason was awesome, but when are we going to see Freddy versus Freddy? Original versus remake.
No, guys, the Claw, I've been declawed.
Oh, I know. It's a joke.
They're rebooting the franchise, and there won't be one. And there was a second of time there where there was going to be, and I talked a little bit with Ken about this. They got really close to Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. And Sam Raimi was the god of Hollywood then after the first Spider-Man. He had more money than anyone, and he thought that Ash should win, which I thought was a terrific idea, because I saw this poster in my mind's eye of we'd send Bruce Campbell to the gym, and he'd do his sit-ups, and then we'd give him one of those 300 Spartan airbrush abs, and Bruce would be standing on the poster and it would say, "Making the world safe from sequels." But as you know, Nightmare on Elm Street is a vastly more successful franchise than Friday the 13th or the Evil Dead films. So they put the kibosh on it at Time Warner and Platinum Dunes and New Line Cinema.
It's a damn shame, sir.
Yeah, but Bruce, here's the thing. Bruce got Burn Notice, and Bruce had this great hit, for years now. And he's up in Oregon, and I think he's ready to make some really nasty little movies, so I look forward to that.
You could always just make a movie together, right? Thank you, guys.
I have one comment for Robert and a question. I really love Killer Pad, the movie you directed. Thought it was great. And I was wondering if I could hear from the man himself, in great detail if you could, how horrible the new Nightmare on Elm Street movie was.
I don't particularly dislike that film. I love Clancy Brown. I think he's a terrific actor. He's a friend. I thought Connie Britton was very well cast. I've been a fan of Jackie Earle Haley's as far back as a film called Breaking Away. That won the nominated for the British Academy Award. Introduced Dennis Quaid, among other people, a good friend of mine, Dennis Christopher, who just recently resurfaced as the Southern lawyer, best friend of DiCaprio in Django Unchained. A wonderful young actor, was a young actor back in the day. Now we're both old dogs. But Dennis has had a nice recovery here in recent years. And I like that cast. I think that when they did the reshoots on that film, and now you're hearing the gossip, that they stacked the deck against the kids. We get to meet the kids in Freddy vs. Jason and in Nightmare on Elm Street. We meet them and they're, for the most part, untainted by any of the spill of Freddy's curse or Freddy's haunting. In the remake, everybody's sort of polluted by Freddy from the get-go. They're haunted. And so you don't get to invest in them emotionally as much as you do in Freddy vs. Jason or as in Nightmare on Elm Street. You don't see them sort of happy-go-lucky and who they really are before they get twisted from Freddy. And I think that was a mistake. I think that was a problem. And like, this is something I only know in hindsight. I think maybe they made Jackie's makeup a little too good. I think it's a little too real. You have to understand, Freddy operates in the imagination of the potential victim. He's in your underwear drawer. He's in your imagination. He's in the back of your head. He knows if you've been good or bad. He knows who you have a crush on. He knows your peccadillos. He's on top of all that. He's exploiting that. But what you know of Freddy is only what you've heard around the campfire. Only what you've heard, while you've been at your lockers in school or in the gymnasium or on the walk home. It's just this myth. So you have to kind of play the myth. It's a little bit larger than life. It's a little more theatrical. There's a time and a place for that. There's a time and a place to be grounded and real and docudrama style, and there's a time not to be. And I think that Jackie's makeup, perhaps, was a little too good. So that would be a kind of hindsight criticism. But the real reason that movie didn't do as well, I think, is only because we all now have a second, we're all here. It's 10-year anniversary for us. What you must understand is that all the new technology, from cable to video to, we have DVDs, we have box sets, we have Blu-ray, we all have flat screens now. You can watch any of the Nightmare films, and especially Freddy vs. Jason, on a flat screen now, Blu-ray, DVD with the lights turned down, and a whole new generation discovers it. It still looks great. It's not like back in the day when you'd have to find a movie late at night, with no pause button, in the 11:30 movie, The Late Show, and you'd find like the original Thing or something, and you'd have to, there was no pause button. That guy walking like the guy from Gunsmoke. Oh, it is James Arness. No, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's very different now. So I'm on my third or fourth generation of fans. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with the technology since the mid-'80s, and it's great because everybody up here has favorite movies that none of you know, that we all love, and we all get drunk together. This is what we talk about. Have you seen that Ryan Gosling movie that nobody went to see? So, we all talk about this stuff because we love acting too, just like you do. And what's great now is those movies are getting discovered. We've all had movies that died at the box office, and a couple of years later they get discovered on cable, or they get discovered on DVD, and they become cult classics. And sometimes even greater. My business manager made a movie called Suicide Games. Quentin Tarantino discovered it on Cinemax, put it in a box set with Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction. So he finally got the check 11 years after he made it. A movie starring Christopher Walken, Johnny Galecki, Dennis Leary. I could go on and on and on. But this is what the good thing is now about all the new technology is you guys can specialize and you can find these movies and you can put them in your collection. So do it. Netflix, on demand, get down, kids.
Could I maybe just tell you what I hated about it? Maybe everyone else could agree. It's just a couple.
I kind of knew you were leading this.
Well, I wouldn't say the guy that was Freddy is a bad actor. I just don't think anyone can portray Freddy except you. You know? And also, his voice was weird, and they revealed his face too quickly, I felt. They didn't show your face till about the end of the movie. You know?
To redeem Jackie, check him out in Shutter Island, and check him out. He's the best thing in Watchmen. Thank you.
One of the things we noticed that Jason's body count is much higher than Freddy's. Was that the plan the whole time, or was there like many script changes?
I think the whole idea was that Jason gets out of hand, and that's what pisses Freddy off. It's like, big dog doesn't know when to stop eating.
All right, I just want to say thank you guys for making my childhood with that movie, because it was awesome. But my question is for Robert. Out of all your kills on Freddy vs. Jason, which one is your favorite?
My favorite Nightmare on Elm Street kill of all time is the deaf young man in Nightmare 6. Because it's so politically incorrect and it's so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what my favorite. I don't think I have a favorite. I did love tormenting Miss Keena because Ronnie really let me improvise there, and there's a couple of moments with Monica and I that are really kind of primal and almost animal.
Do you want to ask me which my favorite film was? Yeah, no, that was great. Well, people always ask me who I think won, Freddy or Jason, and I always say, me. So, thank you, Robert. You were my favorite film. I don't know if anybody else can say that I killed Freddy Krueger. And I did. But have they ever done it with Jason's machete before? I don't know. I don't think so. Just giving myself props. That's all.
Hi. I just wanted to say to Robert Englund that I've been watching your movies since I was about 2 years old, which sounds crazy, but my brother watched them, and so I did too. And I actually have one of your dolls that I would carry around. It was my baby doll. I didn't have a regular baby doll. I had a little Freddy Krueger doll that I would walk around with and call it Freddy Kugel. But my question for everyone is, you all are so goofy and you know you guys are awesome. How do you guys stay into character? That must be hard. I mean, being in a horror movie.
Totally hard for me to get into being real serious for that character. It was really intense meditation.
I had to walk slow.